Have you heard from people online how important it is to get a diagnosis for a person living with dementia, of what disease they actually have, and you're wondering whether or not that's actually true? If you've wondered that, then I'm glad that you're here watching this video, because it is absolutely true, and I want to talk about why it is so important whenever possible to get a diagnosis for your person living with dementia. Hey there, if we've never met before, my name's Brittany. I'm an emergency medicine physician, and online I help people who are making medical decisions for their person living with dementia. This is not an easy role that you have. It's very stressful and emotional, and there is an easier way for you to do this with more access to resources and support and education, and that's why I'm here. So today I'm going to talk about why it's so beneficial whenever possible to figure out what disease your person has that's causing their dementia symptoms. So we're going to cover how it can help you access the right services and resources, and how you can actually better understand your person, and whether or not you're actually able to get a formal diagnosis, how still understanding a little bit about the different diseases that cause dementia symptoms can help you. I also want to talk to you a little bit about some of the most common tests that are involved in working up and diagnosing a person living with dementia. By the end of this video, I want you to walk away empowered to either learn more about the different diseases causing dementia, or to go out and try to do the work in getting your person diagnosed. It can make your life a lot less stressful. It can also help you improve and protect your person's quality of life. So the first point I want to make here is how when you understand the normal symptoms, you'll be better able to actually communicate and interact with your person living with dementia. It will help you be more educated in how you respond to them, and then it will also help you teach the people around them who are in their world how better to respond to them, including staff who are taking care of them inside of a living facility. When we understand the symptoms and the expectations for what's normal, that it can lead to people feeling less stressed because you've learned, okay, that's something that could happen, all right? It also allows us to be more patient because people realize it's the disease that's causing these symptoms. It's not my person intentionally doing this. One way that this can help you on a practical level is if you know the disease that your person has, you'll be able to access support groups that are specific to that disease, and you'll be able to learn from the people who are a few steps ahead of you in the process. That can be so beneficial. You actually get tailored advice to what you're most likely to experience, and more emotional support for those symptoms that you're more likely to encounter. I'm curious, have you joined a dementia-specific support group? What has your experience been like? If you have, let's talk about it a little bit in the comment section. You may be able to inspire someone else by sharing your experience. Okay, the second point I want to make here is that knowing what disease your person has can also help you access better services. When I'm talking about diseases that cause dementia, I should also list them out for you. The most common diseases are Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, Lewy body, frontotemporal, and Parkinson's related dementias. Those are the most common, okay? So dementia itself is not actually a disease. It's saying that someone's living with the symptoms of some sort of disease in their brain, and there are different symptoms that go along with each of these diseases. So for example, for someone who's living with frontotemporal dementia, a lot of people have speech issues with this condition, and they have that much earlier than they have issues with memory. And so it can benefit them quite a bit to work with a speech language pathologist. So it's something that could be helpful for you to know and to start looking for ahead of time. Now, it may benefit a person who is living with Lewy body to have a psychiatrist or even a neuropsychiatrist on their team, because people who are living with Lewy body oftentimes have hallucinations that can really impact their quality of life, and they may do better on medications. For someone who's living with vascular dementia, continuing to look at their overall health and making sure they're seeing specialists and they're getting their routine checkups, those things can decrease their risk of having another stroke, which would make their symptoms worse. So it's something to know about for vascular dementia. So when you understand the symptoms of disease, then you can actually understand the disease better and what to expect from it, and then what services you might need. So it can be really, really helpful for you to be able to help protect your person's quality of life and make sure that they're getting the best care. So that's kind of moving me into my next point, is that it is important, if you can't get your person tested, that you consider what disease they might have. For that reason, really, it's going to help you provide more support for your person. It's going to help you be supported and less stressed, knowing what to expect, and then also being able to hook both of you up to the resources and services that you need. It's worth your time to learn a little bit about these very common causes of dementia, so you can think through what's most likely the disease that's causing the symptoms in your person. And I want you to remember, you know your person best. You've seen what's going on with them in their day-to-day. today, the information that you bring can be extremely helpful in coming to a diagnosis. If you found resources that were really helpful in you understanding what disease your person has or the symptoms that they have, I would love for you to share those in the comment section because that could really help somebody else. All right, and the last thing I want to talk with you about is the tests. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the most common tests that are involved in trying to figure out what type of disease a person has. So typically what happens is a person goes to see their primary care doctor and they have a screening test like a MOCA. It's MOCA, that stands for Montreal Cognitive Assessment. And if a person scores abnormally on that, then a lot of times a primary care doctor is going to send them to have further testing. And a primary care doctor is going to want to make sure there are not other medical problems that are going on. There are other symptoms of conditions that can overlap with symptoms of dementia. Depression is something to consider, all right? There's other reversible illnesses, vitamin deficiencies, thyroid disorders that can cause symptoms that we need to consider before we move on to a diagnosis of dementia. They may order neuroimaging, so brain imaging, like an MRI. They may also send you to see a neuropsychologist. So neuropsychologists are especially trained in performing a battery of tests that can sometimes take hours to do, but they can specifically tell us what parts of the brain are working, what are not working as well, what the person still is able to do, and then they can help us figure out what type of disease the person has as well. Now, sometimes people also have tests like a PET scan. I've also had patients and clients who have had lumbar punctures, and that can be used to diagnose Alzheimer's. The testing should be individualized. If you have questions about testing and whether or not a certain test is going to benefit your person, just ask them, what are you trying to do with the results of this test? How is this going to change my person's care? How do you expect that this is going to help us better care for this person in the future by knowing the answer to this test? The primary care doctor should always be involved if we're concerned about the person's brain health, okay? Because they should help you figure out what services and resources you need and any other referrals that you need to other medical professionals, like a speech language pathologist. So I want to empower you real quick. For those of you who worry about not being able to come to a diagnosis, I had somebody on Facebook who posted in a Facebook group that their person kept going in the emergency department for falling. And then she mentioned she was really stressed out and that she wasn't sleeping, but that she was also not sleeping because her husband kept waking up. She was talking about how he had these wild fluctuations in his abilities and how he would seemingly sometimes completely disconnect from reality and seem to be hallucinating. And she kind of mentioned all of this, but her whole post was really about all these trips to the ER and how stressed out she was. Commented on this post, hey, does your person have a diagnosis? Like which disease is your person living with? She's like, I don't know. And I said, I want you to read just a little bit about Lewy body dementia, because I was like thinking in the back of my mind, this man might have Lewy body dementia, and that would really help her in understanding what's going on. And she was like, okay, thanks. And then some weeks later, she wrote to me and said, I can't get him tested. He won't go get tested, but I think he has Lewy body dementia, and I found a support group, and I feel so much less stressed out being surrounded by other people who are going through similar symptoms. That is one of the biggest benefits of actually thinking about what disease they could have, is really hooking you up and plugging you in. So I hope that that has inspired you to try to get your person tested. And if you can't get them tested, to at least start learning about these different diseases that cause dementia. If you found this video helpful, I want you to keep following me, like and subscribe, and share this with someone else that would benefit from it. Keep following along with me for more resources. Make sure that you hit reply to any emails that I send you and ask me your questions. Thanks for watching. Now go and do something just for you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.